Today's the second Sunday where we do not have public masses here in San Diego and throughout our diocese. And while it's a very sad time for all of us, we just want you, the faithful, to be assured that we, the priest with the bishop, are celebrating masses daily for your intentions, for God to give all of us the strength by His grace to be able to get through this hard time while the world deals with the coronavirus. So, as we have been doing, we are going to be sharing homilies, and so I'm going to be giving a short homily on the gospel for this Sunday. Before I get into the gospel, I just want to say a short story about something that happened to me personally a few years back. We had a sports day with one of the youth groups at a park, and we were playing sports, and it was a very hot day, and we were very thirsty. We wanted to come take a break. So we went, and I went to one of the coolers that we had there, had a bunch of drinks in it, and I took a soda, and I drank almost the whole bottle right away because of how thirsty I was. It felt so good. It was so cold, and it was so refreshing, and I felt awesome afterwards. So I went back, started playing again, and I felt even more thirsty than I did before I had drank it. And you could probably guess why. It's because of all of the sugar that I had with the soda. Because it only tasted good, but it did not truly satisfy me. It did not truly quench my thirst. Imagine if I had drank something else, like for example, water. Water would not have tasted as good, it's just water, but it would have truly quenched my thirst. It would have truly hydrated me, and it would have been better for me in the long run. And I learned that, and I understood why Jesus, when He speaks about spiritual nourishment, He talks about water. And I want to read what Jesus says in the Gospel of John 7 verse 37 is where it starts. It's the Gospel for this Sunday in the Chaldean Church. It says, "On the last day of the feast, the great day, Jesus stood up and proclaimed, 'If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. He who believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart shall flow rivers of living water.'" Jesus here speaks about spiritual nourishment and about spiritual thirst. While we get thirsty physically, while we get hungry, and we have to feed our bodies with food, and we have to drink water in order to be nourished, the soul, the human soul, is also alive. And we cannot forget that. It's not alive in the physical sense. It's alive in a different way. So as the body, like how the body needs nourishment and needs water, the soul also needs nourishment, but in a different way. The soul is also alive and it needs to be cared for. But based on these words of Jesus, we understand that the soul gets life and gets nourishment from the source of water, from the source of our life, is from God Himself. That's where we get spiritual nourishment. Now, a lot of people in this world, maybe those of you that are watching this video, all of us actually, we have struggled with trying to find nourishment in other ways, especially when it comes to material things or the things of this world. Now, while we need things for our sustainment and we need things in this world, if we are too attached to them and if we put all our hope in the things of this world, we will not be satisfied. If all you want is money, if all you want are material possessions, if all you want to do is party and have a good time, you will be left feeling empty. Because these things cannot truly satisfy us. There's always going to be something more. No matter what kind of car you get, there's always going to be a better car. No matter what type of food you want, you're always going to want something better. No matter what type of party you were at, you're always going to want to be at a better party. You're always going to want to find a way to satisfy yourself, and it's never going to truly be satisfactory for the human soul, because the human heart and soul, we live forever. We're not meant for this world. We're not meant for this temporary world, and so something temporary cannot truly satisfy us. What can truly satisfy us is only the grace of God. And while you will be home now during this quarantine that most of America is going through, and most of the world probably will be going through very soon, you're not going to have time to go and buy material things or to go to parties, go to the club, for example. But the temptation will be to feed your mind and your soul with the things of this world when it comes to, for example, social media, using your phone, TV, music. And while these things are not bad in themselves, they could be abused. And if we only take in those things that the world offers us, and especially the bad things that the world offers us through social media, like pornography or other things that lead to lust, or just simply consuming the news too much, or just looking at social media too much, being too consumed with the opinion of the world about us, rather than thinking about what God thinks about us and about nourishing ourselves spiritually. Now is the time. A lot of people say, we don't have time to pray. I don't have time to pray a rosary every day or to go to daily mass. Well, good thing you're at home all day now, and you do have time. Guaranteed, you have time to do a rosary every day. You have time to do daily Bible reading. You have time to look into our live stream of daily mass and do a spiritual communion so that Jesus can spiritually enter your hearts. And so that by doing all of this, we will be filled by the grace of God, and He, who is the source of all grace and of all life, will truly satisfy us. And then we will become like what Jesus says in the gospel, out of His heart shall flow rivers of living water. When we receive from the source Himself, we will give that living water to those around us, to the families around us, to the kids, to our siblings, to our parents who are also struggling. If we approach Christ and if we receive His grace, He will work in us and He will be in us, and we will be sources of that life-giving water, of that life-giving nourishment that only He can offer.